got to keep going. I mean, there's no other option. There's 11 games left. So,
yeah, that's right, Justin Fields. There is still time, whether you and the Jets fans like it or not. Said it before, I'll say it again. Like life itself, football season is short, but it's long too. Well, not for James Franklin, but still. Sheesh. Fired before Bill Belichick and Mike McDaniel? That's cold, Penn State. But at least they replaced Franklin with assistant Terry Smith. If the Nittany Lions football program is known for anything, it's the enduring trust they place in their longtime assistants. I guess football season's also over for Mark Sanchez. Troubling pattern of behavior of that guy always butting into other people's business. Anywho, my point is, don't go burying them KC Chiefs just yet. I don't need Taylor Swift to tell me the Chiefs remain tumescent. Of course, talking up KC is easy today, but this isn't. Don't go throwing dirt on the team that whipped them Chiefs several months ago in the Super Bowl either. Matter of fact, based on 21st century history, the Eagles are much more likely to get back to the big game than the runners-up. Only New England got back after losing the previous year, and they only did that with the help of deflated footballs and videos of the other team. I'll go one further for you. Even the 1-5 Ravens aren't finished. No one is. Well, except for the fellows I already mentioned. And the Jets. And the Browns, who almost literally threw the game in Pittsburgh before it even kicked off. Why didn't they take their bye after going to London? And why didn't they just keep Baker? Ah, well, so many questions. What a weekend of football. Let's dig into all of it. Start the show. Yes, hi and hello, my fellow football Americans. We're presented as ever by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours, and we got a gem coming at you today to try and make some sense of NFL Week 6. NFL Media's Colleen Wolfe is in for the jerk list, and Geoff Schwartz is coming up too. What a weekend of football it was. IU, Indiana University, got its biggest win in at least half a century, probably the most impressive win of the college football season at large. We'll talk to Schwartz about his Ducks and his Chiefs in just a bit. Meantime, fellas, like we do at the start of every show, this is our 16th episode. Number 16, the best in pro football history to wear it. Pretty easily Joe Montana here, though shout out to Lenny Dawson. Big win for the Kansas City Chiefs. Big AFL player, obviously, was Lenny Dawson, the key figure in Super Bowl IV, making it clear that the AFC was here to stay after Namath's win in Super Bowl III over the Colts. How was the weekend, fellas? What stood out to you from the pigskin action?
Well, the Dolphins officially crushed my soul. I'm done with this season. I'm going on Team Seahawks here. Yeah,
You're still invested?
No, I'm just going to jump in with my wife's team now and Bradley. So add another one to the Seahawks bandwagon. I did have a thought though watching that Sunday night game. The Lions are about to trot out, not the Lions. The Chiefs are about to trot out the scariest 5-wide formation I've ever seen. They've got Rashee Rice coming back. They've got Juju Smith-Schuster on the inside, and then 3 guys that run 4-2s, and that's not even to mention Travis Kelce.
Yeah, bro, but one of those guys is Hollywood Brown, and the other one is Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, you're going to be scared of those guys
I'm
in
just worried about
25. You're like, this is the scariest 5-wide.
No, but it's
like
Mahomes.
some guy that they kicked out. That's what I'm saying, but that's what makes them good. Don't go around being like Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. Those are the guys. Those are part of the greatest 5-wide of all time. They're only scary because they're on a team with Pat Mahomes. You give those guys any other quarterback, they probably do nothing. They're just guys. They're just laundry out there running routes. Like there's nothing else. It's because of Patrick Mahomes they're scary.
How was your weekend?
I'm just telling you. That's what it is. So Bradley's like, Gino had this amazing take on the Chiefs. Oh my God, 5-wide receivers. Hollywood Brown. The Ravens didn't want him. They got rid of him. They got Zay Flowers. Juju Smith-Schuster, I barely remember he's in the league until he catches a pass every broadcast from the Chiefs. I don't even remember he's in the league until Pat Mahomes throws him something. So they're not the scariest 5-wide.
Why is Mike in such a mood?
It's just such an acidine take, the scariest 5-wide receivers. No, it's scary because Pat Mahomes is there.
Well, right, but I think what's interesting is they traded away Tyreek Hill and then ushered in a small ball thing in pro football. Now it feels like they are primarily responsible for offenses starting to open it up a little bit more after the last couple of years. Keep your eye on those Chiefs. If you didn't bury him already with Rashee Rice on his way back, egad AFC. It may happen all over again. All right, let's start things off with our old pal from NFL Media, Colleen Wolfe. All right. It's about to get sunnier in here, even though it's not always sunny where she is sitting right now. That's because a black cloud hovers over Philadelphia since last Thursday night. It may well be the darkest day in that sports town's long history. Phillies lose. They're out for the season. The Eagles get shamed by the Gents. Even the Flyers lost last Thursday. Anywho, those are just her teams. There's no one better in the business, and really one of the real delights out there. You watch her on game day kickoff. You listen to her on NFL Daily, Heed the Call, and more. It's our old pal Colleen Wolfe. What's the poop, the Wolf?
Listen, don't try and be nice after you start off with that intro and make me annoyed right out of the gate, reminding me of last Thursday. It was the worst day ever. I don't want to relive it, Shek.
I just stumbled into the always sunny thing as I started to set you up, but I did. If you heard the very top, I said that don't throw dirt on the Eagles just yet. The season is too long for that, even though their head coach is Nick Sirianni, which is very... It's very weird. It's very weird. You must admit, this deep into the Sirianni era, that all we ever talk about, all you ever talk about with Steve Mariucci and otherwise, is the importance of the offensive play caller and the innovators and all of that. And amidst all that, the team that won the Super Bowl last year has Nick Sirianni as its head coach. That's very strange, isn't it?
Well, he just has always given offensive coordinator vibes in general. So it is a little strange. Also, everything about this season is strange in this team. It's giving 2 years ago when everything collapsed. So it's almost like they're just sort of rotating years, on again, off again, on again, off again. I don't really know. A.J. Brown doesn't necessarily ever say Jalen Hurts' name. He just always says, like, my quarterback or the quarterback. Which I find interesting. Zadarius Smith just retired in the middle of the season, and that just, is maybe giving me a little bit of anxiety about this team in general. There's certainly a pall over them.
Okay, I mean, a pall over them. They're the reigning champs. I don't know if you forgot. They beat Patrick Mahomes. We would talk about Patrick Mahomes as the GOAT right now, if not for what the Eagles defense did. And that was only 7 months ago. And now it really sounds like there is a chance that A.J. Brown's going to get traded away. This is loco stuff, I feel like. What is your concern level right now? I mean, you're playing with house money. Like I say, you have the Lombardi in tow. So how upset can you really get at this point? But still, concern level about the Philadelphia Eagles in 2025.
Well, it's
1 to 10.
Come on, you know how I am. I'm already at a 10. This is very concerning. I feel like this roster is loaded with talent. They just won the Super Bowl. They were winning even though they should have been losing these games. So it was just like, it felt like they were just winning by default. And now finally it's starting to catch up with them. And it's like, what are we doing here, gang? Like, this is a team that was built really well by Howie Roseman, and now we're just watching it fall apart and splinter apart because of what I'm guessing is just certain people's egos. Whose? I don't know, but they're not figuring it out. And this was an issue before. It was an issue last year, and then they ended up winning the Super Bowl. You would think, oh, winning cures everything. Well, I guess that's not the case, actually, because look at what's happening right now. And sure, I mean, whenever has there been a wide receiver in Philadelphia that's unhappy, and that worked out great. T.O. ended up leaving, and like everything crumbled then too. So sure, I'm playing with house money. The Eagles are playing with house money, but I'm still annoyed.
Well, okay, I guess you've said it all there. I do think that as I say, you said the gang, and then that makes me think again of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and then that makes me think of the last time you were on one of my shows. We did a Quentin Tarantino character draft, and I think we definitely need to do that again. And
I'm dying to do it again.
I'm about to jump into it right now, if you're that excited about it, but I think we should stick to football here. Do you want to do one?
But I could be convinced.
I mean, what's the standard? Who you want to hang out with? Because that's another question. You have to ask yourself, or as a fan, does it matter whether or not you'd want to hang out with these guys? Like, would you want to hang out with Nick Sirianni? Probably not. Or do you think he would be a good hang?
You know what though? Wouldn't that be a surprise? Wouldn't that be a plot twist if like you end up hanging out and it's the best time ever? Maybe that's where the magic happens. Maybe it's the people that you don't think will be a good hang that end up being a good hang.
Joel Embiid, Bryce Harper, or Scotty Hartnell. I think there aren't a lot of desirable characters in the Philadelphia sports scene. All right, listen, you know what? Let's jump into it, shall we, with our weekly review of what we just saw in pro football and beyond with our special guest here, Colleen Wolfe. If we have any time here, maybe we can get into some character work. In the meantime, it's time for the jerk list. This is when we evaluate some statements that Gino and Mike Fuentes are about to make, and we will evaluate, you and me, whether or not they are rational thoughts or maybe a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Also, just identifying some garden variety jerkitude out there in our society as we move along here as well. Who's up first, fellas? Take it away. Start us off.
Okay, so here on our little script it says, as weird as it sounds, that the reigning Super Bowl MVP is officially holding the Eagles back. I myself, as a Jalen Hurts hater, have say he's always held them back. What do you think?
Wow, Wolf, take it away. You ready to be Hurts again?
I mean, yeah, this is a tough one because I really don't want to admit that it is one player and that it is the quarterback. But it is giving those vibes a bit right now. So I think that it's not necessarily his play. I feel like it's the play calling. I'm going to blame it on the play calling that is holding the Eagles back right now. So it's Kevin Petula's fault.
I had a very firm take. I had a very firm take after the Super Bowl that almost any quarterback in the league that could run could have won that Super Bowl. And I stand by it. What do you think? Because Lamar could have won that Super Bowl. Any quarterback that can run. The only person that said I couldn't do it was Tua because we know he can't run. So,
well, that's a pretty favorable comp, right? The Jalen Hurts, the guy who's won all those MVPs and is one of the dominant, most distinctive quarterbacks in the history of people. That I think that's the opposite of damning with faint praise. Yes, the Wolf.
I was going to say, if any quarterback could win that Super Bowl that was a running quarterback, but would they get that offensive line that Jalen Hurts had too?
The exact same team. They get the exact same Eagles team. You just stick them on that Eagles team that won the Super Bowl. Like more than half the league can win that Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts was a passenger.
I think you guys are being you're veering into disrespectful territory here with Jalen Hurts. I mean, the idea that you could just replace him with anybody and get the same results, part of it is resisting the ego, the temptation that comes with being one of the most gifted people to ever play the sport. And it is the paradox. It's the coaches in the ear of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen that says, like, we know that you are in a small handful of quarterbacks who have ever played the game who can do these things that are difference making. Don't do them because they can get us because you might end up fumbling the ball and then that'll hurt the team ultimately. Jalen Hurts kind of understands the assignment here, especially after the fumble in the first half in the first Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Take care of the ball. That is the priority. And Lamar Jackson and to some extent Josh Allen haven't done as good a job as Jalen Hurts has. And I think the Wolf just hit the nail on the head. What this is about is the offensive line. They are beaten up this year, and what it points at is that everything that works in Philadelphia is owed to Howie Roseman loading up over and over and over again on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They're just officially now so beaten up on the offensive side. That's why they don't look as good as we typically assume them to be. Next up.
All right. Am I a jerk for saying that NFL teams should just make like MLB and hold like hard locker room celebrations with like champagne and everything after every win?
I like this very much, but first to complete some business here. The Wolf says that was a rational thought on Jalen Hurts. I say Gino's a jerk.
I'm getting the jerk call from Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah, that's what I
I'm just catching
was about to say,
strays,
why
man.
is Gino
Mike,
catching a stray?
Yeah.
I don't know. Now
Yeah.
both of you get it.
Yeah.
You don't embarrass me in front of Colleen, call me out. Now you both get it. The Wolf, the question or the statement is, the NFL should take a page from MLB and not hold off on locker room celebrations until you get the Lombardi. You just do it every round after a playoff win.
Do you think that I'm actually going to say that a party shouldn't happen? Of course, there should be a party after every single win. Why would you not have a party if there was an opportunity to have a party? If you should celebrate Why everyone should be invited. There should be champagne. They should cover the whole locker room in plastic. That's one of the best
11
parts
times a
of
year. Yes.
covering MLB and just seeing the ridiculousness that ensues with the goggles and everything else. I love that idea.
Glass half full of beer or champagne or whatever your drink of choice is after every playoff victory. It is very weird. NBA teams don't do it. By the way, another thing NBA teams don't do that they should adopt from college basketball is why when NBA teams win the title, don't they cut down the nets? Why does that expire when you graduate from college? I don't know, or not graduate from college in many cases of the guys cutting down the nets. But still, it is weird because NHL teams don't get loaded. Well, they get drunk, but they don't do it in the locker room in a big party. And NFL teams, how come MLB does throw a big celebration after every round? It's strange. But I'm with you. Bottom line is, yeah, have fun. The hardos won't like it, though, because this is borderline a participation trophy, right? Yeah, celebrate. You won a wild card round.
Okay, all right. You know what?
You beat the Houston Texans. Everybody does that in the playoffs.
This is a good point you bring up. Maybe you shouldn't be allowed to do it in the wild card round, but then after that, it's allowed because like wild card round, although wild card weekend is the most fun weekend of NFL. I feel like it's just, I love it. There's just a lot of great games. So I don't know. Why not? I feel like you need a party. And to add to that, you just made me think of this, Shek, talking about cutting down the nets. I think every NFL team should have a marching band. I know that some do, and some have recently made the news this past year. But I would say that every single team should take a page out of collegiate football, collegiate sports in general, and there should be a marching band.
You should, and at least a fight song. And I don't care if it has a retro vibe to it. I don't care if it sounds like it hails from the Big Ten. It could be like a disco, like the San Diego Supercharger, San Diego. And then the Steelers have a polka. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's right.
We're from the town with the Super Bowl team. The point is, you need a fight song. I don't care what genre it hails from. We agree, no jerks
the
here.
Sixers have a great one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Sixers or whatever the it is. Oh wait, I'm not allowed to curse on this, am I?
You just,
I'll bleep it out.
did. Now it's out there, and now you're going to get a call from Roger Goodell. You have
It's
to
because
answer
I messed up the song. I'm gonna have everyone coming for me. Okay, anyway.
player conduct policy violated by the Wolf. All right,
God,
next
they
up on the
finally
jerk
caught
list.
me.
How did it feel to get in the backfield for a few sacks?
Felt good. I'm gonna probably tell my kids about this. I played in a game with T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett, and I had 2 sacks. That's crazy, huh?
Doesn't this kind of prove that we really shouldn't be spending money on defensive ends? If cornerbacks right here getting 2 sacks a game, and T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett are basically doing nothing.
Well, T.J. Watt had a decent game on Sunday. Myles Garrett had the same amount of sacks as me and Colleen Wolfe and Gino and Mike Fuentes combined. 0. The Wolf, how say you? What does this say about paying high-end defensive players when Myles Garrett adds up to about, 3 wins, 4 wins annually with his Cleveland Browns?
I think what I took overall from this is that you should be paying more for players that have a personality, like Jalen Ramsey. Like, I think that's where things really line up, because you think about locker room morale and you think about like team guys. If you have a personality like that, then people will follow you. So maybe that is really where the GM should be spending money.
I think it's where you are in your story as a team. If you want to spend, I think that a guy like Myles Garrett, as dominant as he is, and his ability to swing games being what it is, it still doesn't make sense if you're where you are as the Cleveland Browns as a franchise, which is very far away from Super Bowl contention. I think if you can financially afford it against the cap and everything else, but if you can afford it in terms of how close you are to actually holding a Lombardi, then it might make some sense to spend on luxury items like a high-end edge rusher. As it stands for the Browns, spoiler alert, it hasn't worked. He's been there now for a long time. They haven't gotten anywhere close to a Super Bowl, except the one year where they did have the answer at quarterback in the QB league named Baker Mayfield, and then they promptly traded him away for Deshaun Watson on purpose. The Browns, they're the best, aren't they?
They are. Myles Garrett didn't even want to be there. And
I know, till they paid him.
Here, we're just gonna pay you all of this money because it's gonna be great for you to be in this room with us.
And now he's saying resentful things about his teammates. It must be nice to have good teammates and all that sort of thing.
Oh God,
looking good there, Myles. Looking good. All right, next up on the jerk list.
All right, am I a jerk for saying that the biggest win of the weekend was actually the Chargers surviving the sorry-ass Dolphins?
Interesting. The Wolf, how say you?
Well, just judging by that Justin Herbert play where he is just shaking off Jalen Phillips like it's nothing at all, and then changing hands and that play in general was one of the best football plays I've ever seen. Justin Herbert's such a big dude too, so for him it kind of reminded me of like a little Big Ben-ish. Just because he's such a huge dude, and to be able to just like get through these massive defenders and still make the play, there's something to it. It's nothing to be said about the Dolphins though, but honestly, like the Chargers pulling that out, they needed that win. They should have gotten that win. It should have come a lot easier, but yeah, they barely got it and they deserved it in the end.
Yeah, setting aside the job-saving aspect that it would have provided for Mike McDaniel, all plays aren't created equal. All game results just need to equal a W in the NFL. Not true in college football, but like we talk about a lot here, just win the game, whether it's 3-2 or 78-77. That's what happened. The Dolphins were a desperate team. The Chargers looked like they were about to drop another one. And then that becomes the narrative. And then it becomes, boy, same old Chargers. But then Justin Herbert rises up and makes that play, thereby allowing them to hold off the Chiefs for another week. And that's not insignificant. If you want to actually get into the mix and make some hay come January, you have to win games like this. And like you're talking about, the Wolf, Justin Herbert's teammates saw that one just like they saw what he did in the waning moments in week 1 against the Chiefs. It's significant for the main man to make those plays in the clutch. It probably means something moving forward to his Chargers teammates. So no jerk there. Boy, we're on a roll here. No blaster coming out lately. Let's see if we can change that here.
The Monday night doubleheader is a great addition to the NFL schedule.
Ooh, the Wolf, how say you?
I say yes because I work on a pregame show for Monday nights, and I think any NFL game addition to any day of the week is a great one, and I love my job. So
company woman, yeah.
Your voice went into robot mode there a little bit. Can a human being set to cruise control?
My job. No, I would say though, I like when they stagger the games. I feel bad for everyone on the East Coast. That is no bueno. You have to stay up so late if you are a fan of that team playing the PM game, the later one. They're both in PM. But I don't love when they're at the same time because I feel like Monday night games should be sacred. That should be a primetime game is an island game. Like you should be able to have all eyes on you. I feel like so many people on Sundays, it's just so chaotic. There's so many things happening at once. And the news is just constantly happening and the scores and the injuries and everything. And it's like all compacted into one day that then you have to sort of suss through everything on Monday. By the time you get to Monday night, it's like, all right, I got through today and now I'm just going to sit and watch this game and turn my brain off. And like, it's like a reward for getting through Sunday.
I like having the extra game. More football is more football. And like you talk about how crowded Sunday gets, well, this avails you of one game. The late window on Sundays always feels like, who cares about that one game? Put that on Monday night as the second game. It's great because it gives you twice the chances of having a decent game to watch on Monday night before you have to go to sleep.
I think you're onto something. What if we were able to flex a game on Sunday, like the worst game on the slate of Sunday to Monday, and it's voted on by the fans?
Listen, remember, I advocated way back when, I forget what the circumstances were, but they had to make one West Coast game. I think it was a Chargers and Raiders game. They had to start it at like 8 o'clock West Coast time. That's where it's at. We should have a late night game. All options should be on the table. Is anybody ever, I don't know why people like to shake their fist at UK based football, but what's better than waking up and the game's already kicked off on the West Coast, even if it is one of the most atrocious games you've ever seen, like the Jets. Yes, Mike. Fuentes.
No, I'm just laughing at how like she's like, we should let the fans vote. You know how chaotic that would be for like broadcasters and people like Colleen who are like, now we got to shift everything around just because the fans don't like Arizona, Jacksonville in the 4 o'clock window. You know, so now everything's off the table. Everybody, quick, bust it up across country. Let's get out of here.
I love chaos.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Listen, let's more football on Monday night will be great. Like I say, a midnight kickoff, that would be fun for the late crowd, especially. See, that's when you get desperate late at night. That's what happens with the fellas. Like 1:30 a.m. They start getting desperate when they're walking around the bars. Same would be true for the football fan. Like it's 12:30 a.m. Like who's playing like Raiders and Titans? Like okay, I'll watch that given the hour.
Aren't these people working on Monday? Like, don't people have jobs that they have to go to?
Okay, do we want to squeeze in one more? So we like this. No jerks here. We're in too much agreement here. Want to squeeze in
Can
one
we get
more?
a blaster just for the hell of it? All right.
Let's do it real quick. You have the first pick in the Quentin Tarantino draft, Colleen Wolfe, and today the standard is which character you would most want to drive across the country with.
Oh, Rick! It's still Rick Dalton. We talked about this before we started recording. And I had Rick Dalton as my number one hang, and it remains my number one hang. I love Rick Dalton.
Yeah, but he's a needy, boozy guy. Don't you want Cliff Booth? He's where the fun is, right?
I mean, Cliff Booth.
Gino, Mike, any thoughts?
10 out of 10.
I do like Cliff Booth. I'd probably give an honorable mention to Mr. White, another one to Mr. Pink, and then Lieutenant Aldo Rain. Those are my 3 honorable mentions. Yeah.
Ooh. But wait, didn't Cliff Booth potentially kill his wife? So like I don't really know if I would want to drive.
He did kill his wife, I think is what we're supposed to assume.
Our
mutual friend, the Wolf.
Never proved.
Mark
seems
Sessler.
Touchy, not a great relationship.
Yeah.
Mark Sessler has floated this great theory that Cliff Booth is in fact Aldo Rain. Kind of checks out. That Aldo Rain goes back to the States and then gives himself a new identity.
And he becomes
Cliff Booth. The
but
timing does kind of work out.
But Aldo Rain had like a very distinctive mark on his neck, I think, because they had tried to hang him. So if you don't have the scar, yeah,
he did take the shirt off.
Yeah, maybe related. He likes to do that.
Now you ruined it. And you know what? Great news for everybody. Happy ending. Taste the blaster. You don't need it. That was a great theory, and you immediately have to get in the way of it. That stinks. What doesn't stink is Colleen Wolfe. In fact, she's delightful. We appreciate. Let that be just a little hors d'oeuvre to a main course when we do a proper Quentin Tarantino character draft on your next visit here. All right.
I'm going to make a big board. I'm excited.
We might need it to distract you from the fact that the Eagles missed the playoffs because the New York Football Giants got hot with Jackson Dart. Got their revenge on Saquon.
It's all came full circle now. Now I'm annoyed again.
It really did. Colleen Wolfe, you're the tops.
Love ya.
All right, there goes the Wolf, charming as ever. And here comes our guy from Geoff Schwartz is Smarter Than You, Fox Sports, and all the rest of it. I believe he matriculated at Eugene, Oregon, a number of years back. Maybe that'll come up while we talk here. It's Geoff Schwartz. What's happening, fella?
Congratulations. That was a great win by your Hoosiers against my Ducks. We have an Indiana problem. The last 2 times we've lost to Big Ten teams in Oregon has been 0-4 Indiana and 2025 Indiana. We have an Indiana problem. Official Indiana problem.
You know what? Before we dig into that, and I want to talk some NFL, big win for the Chiefs on Sunday night. That's tip of the iceberg from Week 6 NFL. Bradley, you have a question, though. Fill in the blank style.
Yeah, Jeff, the first quarterback taken in the 2026 draft will be?
I don't know, man.
While you ruminate about that, I think it's interesting, Jeff and audience, that once again, it's not bait and switch, but people every year do this over-promising about like don't draft like last April. That was the buzz. Don't take a quarterback in 2025 because the 2026 QB class is so rich. Well, since then, Arch Manning looks certain to not go to the NFL, and who would take him if he did? Drew Aller is now hurt. You were skeptical about Drew Aller going in the first round to begin with. So they're now both out. The list has been reduced, this superstar class of QBs. Anywho, update us. Who do you think goes first among the QBs?
Oh man, I'm looking. So here's the betting odds right now. Mendoza's 1, Sellers 2, Simpson 3, and then Moore's not coming out. Nussmeier, Beck.
Sellers and Nussmeier aren't higher up in the odds? I'm surprised.
I still think Carson Beck has a good chance to go number 1. If I'm betting on someone now, it'd be Carson Beck at 25-1. Mendoza's the safe pick today because of how well he played the other day. But Mendoza, Dave, doesn't do a ton in the offense. He's really, really good at what he does. And there's going to be questions about whether or not he can throw over the middle of the field with pressure, because he was pressured one whole time in that game and threw a pick 6. Like that's going to be the question with Mendoza. He does what they do really well. He does very well, but it's not a lot. You know what I mean? And then
his
of course,
speed, his ability to run will be a mirage at the next level.
Correct,
He's
yeah,
not going to be able to
correct.
run away from anybody there.
And I think too, like the hard part about the draft, and this is the hardest part that I think we have as like college football fans, right? Is that the draft is about projecting to the NFL. It's not what you did in college. So like, for example, like Drew Aller, I know he's hurt, but let's just say he's healthy. We'd be like, oh, gross. And they'd be like, I don't know, 27th pick. Like he has like all the tools to be good. I have a seller's ticket, Dave, at like some insane number, like 40-1. So like him even being considered to be that high, when you watch him play, you're like, I don't know, I see some of it, but like not really. So that's the hard part about picking who the guy is right now. That's why I think Carson Beck wins the Heisman, and therefore he's in that discussion as the first pick in the draft. They don't correlate, of course, but like I think he continues to play better. And 25-1 for Beck right now feels like the way I'd look at it.
Well, yeah. So we're at the station in the football season where we're now unimpressed by the gathering of quarterbacks and how they project at the next level. I suspect by the time we get to March and April, we'll have talked ourselves into at least 5 or 6 of these cats being worthy of the first round. All right. Detroit, KC. I just want you to react to what you saw there. Pretty impressive stuff from KC, especially without their left tackle in there.
Well, what a luxury, right? You signed Jalen Moore, that $15 million deal is not even starting for you, and you get to put him in when you miss Simmons, who appears to be maybe out for another couple of weeks. There's kind of ambiguity there in what's occurring. And look, if he has a family issue, we of course wish the best for him. Hope he can handle what he has to handle. But to have Jalen Moore come in there and play that way, get Hutchinson, was fantastic. I think the thing for me that was rather shocking, Dave, was the Chiefs' defense, who really had not been great this season and couldn't rush the passer. All of a sudden, rushed the passer against the Lions. They really didn't rush the passer until the second half. The first half of that game, the Lions mostly did what they needed to do. Rashee Rice back in the building now, man. I think I told you, right, every week, like just wait. Let's just wait and see when everyone's back. And the offense is certainly clicking. So you had a chance to bury the Chiefs. It didn't happen. Now they're 3-3. They're obviously one game out of the division, and feels like they're back to what we expected them to be.
I thought it was significant, at least in the here and now. Obviously, there's a long way to go, but I do think it matters that the Chargers held them off for another week. I think the Chargers, if they had lost to Miami, the regression would be hard to overcome sort of emotionally, given the track record there. I know Jim Harbaugh just got there last year and all, but I do think it matters. And there is some that I think the Chargers and Broncos add up to be some challengers in the division finally for KC to overcome. But yeah, man, I mean, I said that last week as well, like a lot of people did. If they lose to the Lions, you're getting pretty far back there by the time Rashee Rice comes back, but now they got to be feeling about as good as anybody in the AFC moving forward here. The Browns, I don't want to get crazy about this. I don't want to get crazy. But it's almost like, I mean, they wouldn't know that, that it's going to be Dylan Gabriel in there. I've heard too many people saying like, well, it ended up being good because they come back from London and they don't have their bye, but just throw the Rook right back in there, doesn't have time, no time to really study up for the Steelers on him and what his habits are, his tendencies. Maybe that's better. They didn't know that when they decided to skip taking the bye after London. it feels like they just gave up whenever they made that decision. When was that decision made? Springtime? Like, yeah, let's just play a game in Pittsburgh the week after the UK game. That was it's like forfeiting the game, isn't it?
But the teams are not taking their bye anymore coming back from London because it's so early in the season. You want a week 5 bye, week 6 bye. I mean, I think teams would rather have the bye later in the season. I don't think that affected their game at all. They just were terrible on offense. I mean, Mike Tomlin even called them out for their quarterback management, which is like a shocking thing for Tomlin to say. They just are bad at that position, Dave. It's not hard in the NFL to figure out who the has and has not are. Gabriel threw the ball like 50 times against Pittsburgh too, which is just like.
Well, I mean, listen, they're a wreck as ever, but we talked about with Colleen. I am curious very quickly your opinion on the same thing. I mean, is this an indication? Is Myles Garrett the personification of the cautionary tale of why you shouldn't pay a guy like that? It's hard to let the franchise that doesn't have a QB, he is the face of the Browns, so you feel like, well, from a PR standpoint at minimum, if you let him go after the disastrous Deshaun Watson trade, your fan base would riot. On the other hand, from a football perspective, he's not doing anything to get you wins, or he's not making you into a winning program, right?
I mean, the fault of the Browns is to sign Deshaun Watson to a guaranteed contract for $250 million. Myles Garrett, one of the best players in the NFL, like he's worth every penny.
But he's not worth it when it equals 5 wins a year.
Well, yeah, because that's a quarterback problem though. If your quarterback is fixed, then Myles Garrett becomes infinitely more. I mean, look. You shouldn't let Hall of Fame players leave, in my opinion, Dave. No matter what situation it is, Myles Garrett deciding to come back felt at the time like foolish when his words were like, "Well, we're going to win a championship here." You weren't ever going to win a championship here. But if you get a rookie quarterback next year and you're good all of a sudden, then Myles Garrett automatically becomes a great contract, right? And you have that guy in the building. It's just about quarterback play, and they're bad at quarterback because of Deshaun Watson, not because of Myles Garrett contract.
What do you make of what Baker Mayfield's doing down there in Tampa? I thought that was another impressive victory. Mac Jones was not the reason that the Niners lost that game. I mean, the football gods.
He threw a bad interception, though.
Okay, he did, but I mean, just the plague of injuries. I mean, people are feeling sorry for the Ravens, and they don't feel as bad for the Niners because of Kyle Shanahan keeping that team afloat better than John Harbaugh's kept his, right?
Can I say that one of the dumbest discourses around Baker Mayfield, this idea that the Browns should have kept him? He was not good in
What
Cleveland.
are you talking about? They absolutely dumbest discourse. That's an attack of me, since I say it all the time. Of course they should have kept him. What are you talking about? He beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh in a playoff game with his head coach in the basement in Cleveland.
Dave, he was nowhere this good in Cleveland, and
he had maybe the greatest rookie season for a quarterback ever until Jaden Daniels, at least.
Yeah, but then he got worse and worse. Now, part of it was he got hurt. That's certainly fair. But I think the maturity part of it made the Browns want to move off of him. And Baker Mayfield has admitted before that his maturity wasn't where it had to be. And look, the journey that he went through with the Panthers and the Rams, I mean, that's not a normal journey to get to where he's at. But he found a spot with really a plethora. I mean, think about it. Yesterday, Mike Evans out, Godwin's out, Buka gets hurt. Tez Johnson, oh, hey, buddy, here's a deep touchdown pass for you. Johnson, here's 6 catches for you. K-Don, here's 55 yards from you. The offensive line in Tampa Bay is getting healthier and better. So he just had to find his spot. It wasn't going to be Cleveland, and it ran its course.
But wait a second. You can't attribute what he's doing to the situation. I mean, if this were...
It's both. It's
Tom
both.
Brady, when he was throwing to Danny Amendola and Julian Edelman, we swooned because Brady was making it work with those guys. Shouldn't we do the same for Baker when his number one receiver is Tez Johnson?
I'm talking about why he did get out of Cleveland, not his overall. His overall play has been fantastic. There's nothing it's great. I'm saying why he had to get out of Cleveland. He found a spot that just everything fit for him, right? By the time he left Cleveland, it wasn't there. It wasn't working quite the same. He's been fantastic. He's rightfully.
I think Odell's dad ruined it for Baker. I really do.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
Maybe Odell and his father combined to sort of, maybe they were telling the truth about some corner of the locker room or some percentage of the locker room, but that doesn't mean that the Browns needed to listen to that. And Baker Mayfield, I agree, obviously. I mean, full seasons of inconsistency, but there were a couple
Odell
of
in the Browns? That the whole thing that with Odell's dad, he was on the Browns, right?
Yeah. And right.
Wow.
Nobody respects him, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the aspect of the Baker trade for Deshaun that a lot of people skip over is that they gave up a lot of picks, including premium picks. Look at where they would have had those picks. Obviously, changes if Baker Mayfield's still on the roster and all that, but look at the picks that they gave up and who they could have turned them into. They would be one of the best rosters in the AFC right now if they keep Bake and use those picks on guys who turn out. Now, obviously, it's the Cleveland Browns making the draft pick, so there's a decent chance they would have screwed those up, but still. Good win for my Colts yesterday. Let's dig in here quickly on Oregon and IU, or we could go long. My first question for you about what happened in Eugene, Oregon, is the nature of the victory. I thought going in, maybe the Hoosiers can do it. They have a knack for putting up gargantuan point totals, and maybe the rugged Ducks will grind out some long drives, but the Hoosiers will be able to offset that with some long throws and otherwise. They dominated the line of scrimmage. The Hoosiers did. I don't know, dominate, but they held their own is what I should say.
Yeah. This is one of those games where it's nice to have the advantage of watching the film, Dave, because you look at the game flow, and it did appear that Indiana won the trenches. I mean, Oregon averaged 7 yards a carry between the tackles. They just ran the ball like 12 times between the tackles. I don't know why they didn't do more of it. It was working. Why would you not do more of it? Look, I think the number one thing...
I texted you why. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I texted you why. Correct me if I'm wrong. My sense of the way the game rolled out was, much like I just said, the Chargers held off the Chiefs in terms of the standings. I think maybe until the pick six happened, the most significant play of the stretch of the game was the Hoosiers scratching out that 3 right before the half because it put them back in the lead. So now they go to the locker room, and our story in our brains is like, not bad, Hoosiers, kind of like Rocky Balboa fighting Apollo Creed. The standard is they better win this game to be considered legitimate. Holding their own is enough for Balboa in the ring with the heavyweight champ. Yeah. And going to the locker room with a lead was significant because it also forced the Ducks. They never took the lead in the second half, and that's what prevented them from running the ball, right?
What's crazy is that we haven't had a reliable kicker in like 35 years. And Indiana has a dude who's their second kicker make a 58-yard field goal before the half. I mean,
twice.
Like we have just never had a kicker in 25 years since Jared Siegel was there in the late 90s. Like it's shocking how good we have been without, like, before our kicker got to Oregon, he missed like 1 kick in 2 years at Oregon State. Now he misses a kick every other kick he misses. It's wildly maddening. Look, here's the credit for Indiana. Let's do Indiana first. You have to be so impressed with what I would basically talk about, Dave, is like they have things they do, and they just do it so well. Like what they do offensively, right? The RPO inside zone, right? They don't have a ton of runs. They sort of run what they run. And Mendoza's so accurate on the RPO, right? And then throwing the balls outside the numbers. I mean, I think I charted 4 passes that were inside the numbers, essentially, on non-RPOs. That was it. He was 2 for 4 and threw the pick 6. Otherwise, they got to the edges as fast as possible. Mendoza, and look, it's worth pointing. It's one thing to call a back shoulder fade or a deep out or deep comeback. It's another thing for the quarterback to throw the ball exactly where it has to go. And Mendoza did that routinely the entire game. I mean, there were so many times there's video out there of our defensive end beating a right tackle immediately, Dave, at the snap, and Mendoza throws the ball. Like, it's just brilliant what Indiana does. And then defensively, your defensive coordinator had Dante Moore and our OC in a world of hurt, man. I mean, the sim pressures, right? So if you think the pressure's coming from the left, it comes from the right. And that's what people view as offensive line issues. It wasn't, Dave. You guys just schemed up pressures, man. You put your running back, our running back, Shea, on your linebacker multiple times. That the two of the 6 sacks were that. 2 of the 6 sacks were free runners on Dante Moore that he just didn't see coming. We had no answers for your zone coverage. We knew you were running. You were in 90% zone. You were in the most zone in all college football. Fisher, your middle linebacker, dude, unbelievable. What I would pay to have a middle linebacker like that at Oregon, our biggest weakness is linebacker, and it certainly showed either in pass protection, to be pass coverage, and some of the run game. So what Indiana does really well, they just hone in on and just do that awesomely. And Oregon could never get them out of that rhythm. So, dude, I'm super impressed with Indiana. They're as good as a contender as anyone else. They'll probably face Ohio State, Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game at this rate. And I wouldn't be surprised if that game was 3 to 7 points. It's going to be a good game.
I mean, I think they can lose 2 games, the Hoosiers now. Their resume is pretty strong.
They're in the play, but not going to, though. Their schedule is easy. You want to know
but they lose to Ohio State. That doesn't matter if they get to the conference title game.
No.
But yeah,
Oregon was 12-0 last year. The schedule is not difficult. At Penn State, who knows? At Purdue's getting a little bit better, but not good enough to beat Indiana. You know what's dumb, and you're going to hate to hear this, but I think it's true. I think if they were to play again, Oregon would still be the favorite based on power rankings, which is really dumb. But I think I've seen some power rankings today, and Oregon's still ahead of Indiana. I think, how dumb is that? A game that we didn't control at all. The post game win expectancy for Oregon was 1%. So that means we weren't even close to winning the game. And I think if they played again, we would be slight favorites still, which is dumb system, but it is
what comes across at the end of that game is Lanning understands we're good. We're still going to make the playoff. This was good for us maybe to get punched in the face by a team.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the vibe I got coming out of that one. But where Coach Sig is concerned, we hear now with the Penn State opening and otherwise.
No.
Just listen to what I'm asking you. Everybody's talking about Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. Isn't the guy to go after if you have endless sums of money? Isn't it Coach Sig? Is there any head coach you'd rather have right now than Kurt Signetti?
Right, I think Dan Lanning's pretty good, but I think Signetti would be the choice everyone would take right now. What he has done in Indiana, Kevin Clark put out a tweet. I'm sure you can find the tweet and put it up here. I mean, it's remarkable, dude. Not a talented star roster. I know people hate the stars and recruiting, but they actually hold a lot of weight, Dave. The best teams in the country tend to have the best players. That's kind of the way that works. And the way he was able to bring his JMU guys along with him as well, added Mendoza, right? And just continue to look. It's one thing to have one good year in Indiana last year, but then to be better this season is just a testament to him and his coaching staff.
Well, they felt like a fun story last year, but they weren't sturdy against a heavyweight team. That's what's different, is that at the line of scrimmage, you don't just truck them all day long. A good
correct.
team like Notre Dame did that last year to them. One thing real quick. By the way, Bradley said this to me talking about Coach Sig. He's like, it's like a chef. You give them the same. It's almost like what's the show where you give them all the same ingredients and one person makes a better meal than anybody else. It must be embarrassing a little bit to look around to be the Purdue coach and be like, I don't know how to explain what that guy's doing with these spare parts. Last thing real quick, because it feels like an elimination game. USC Notre Dame. Who's going to win that one?
I go Notre Dame. Their defense is playing a lot better the last 3 games. So to me, Notre Dame is going to win that game. You're right. Notre Dame loses, they're out. USC loses, probably out of the postseason. They could beat Oregon to end the year and get maybe get it 10-2. But that game's on the road, and USC does not play as well on the road as they do at home. So I think Notre Dame wins that game.
All right, great stuff. Whoa, we almost got a fight song there to close things out.
I deserve that. It's okay. You can put the fight song.
Okay. We should play the Indiana University fight song. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a dynamite idea. Go, IU.
I deserve
fight.
Can I say the breaking news, or what are we doing here?
You can't stop him.
Yeah, seriously. Brian Callahan's been fired. There you go.
We rounded out with Brian. Oh my God, he got fired a year and a half in. Sheesh.
Did you see Jeffrey Simmons, their best player on defense, say we didn't practice well this week. We didn't practice very hard. I
started the show by saying that football season is still going for just about everybody, Add another name to the list for whom it is now over, Brian Callahan. And thus ends another successful episode of Football America, helmed in part by the great Geoff Schwartz. You'll get him next time. Maybe, Schwartz. Maybe not. Maybe now it's the Hoosiers era. And the Ducks had their chance, and they didn't take full advantage. Great stuff from Geoff Schwartz. Geoff Schwartz is smarter than you. Make sure you're checking it out. Get smarter yourself on the YouTube page. Football America is thriving over there. We appreciate you joining us once again. We'll be back on Friday to get you right for NFL Week 7. Until then, thanks so much, my fellow football Americans. It's been a thin slice of heaven.